Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of China Focus, the podcast where we shine a focus on the folks, the everyday people, their unique experiences, and the vibrant tapestry of life across China. I'm your host, Robert Jean.
And I'm Ella.
So what if that, well-trodden path wasn't really the only one? Imagine young people in China looking at the big cities, the bustling life, and just saying, actually, no.
Right. It's a big choice.
It's a really bold choice. They're heading out to the countryside, kind of shaping their own futures, and in ways that, might really surprise you.
Yeah, it's a genuinely compelling shift. And it was actually the focus of this fascinating discussion recently in Beijing. The title was Village Drifters, When Young People Drift to the Countryside.
Village Drifters. I like that.
Yeah, and we've got this collection of stories that came out of it, and they really shine a light on this inspiring trend.
Exactly. So today, we're diving deep into 5 pretty unique experiences, these journeys of, new farmers, you could call them, and other people who are really finding their place in rural China. Our goal really is to understand what's driving this whole movement and, what insights we can maybe take away from their experiences. So let's kick things off with our first story. It's the quite remarkable journey of Dr. Sean.
Xian's path is, certainly unconventional, isn't it?
Totally.
And here you have someone with a PhD who decides to leave academia for the life of a farmer.
Yeah. It immediately makes you ask, why?
Yeah.
What could possibly inspire such a huge pivot?
Exactly.
And she herself describes it, her move to the countryside, almost like a pilgrimage.
A pilgrimage. Interesting.
Yeah, one that eventually revealed what she calls a Chinese scripture.
Yeah.
It's a very evocative way to put it.
It really is.
What strikes me, though, is her background. Born and raised in Hebei province, right near Beijing.
Right, very urban.
Yet she had, and she says this,
Yeah.
0 experience with rural life. Didn't even start cooking until she was 26.
Wow. That really paints a picture, doesn't it, of her, city upbringing. It just underscores the huge contrast with her life now as a farmer. You can't help but wonder about those, first steps in such a big transformation.
Well, okay, so she went to agricultural university, though she admits her initial enthusiasm wasn't exactly sky high. She even used to kind of downplay her major, agricultural economics and management. Sometimes she'd just call it economics and management.
Maybe to sound less.
Less rural, yeah, perhaps.
That kind of hints at some of the, societal views around agriculture, doesn't it?
For sure.
It's often not seen with the same prestige as maybe more city-focused jobs. So what was the catalyst then? What changed your view?
It seems like it happened during her master's program. Her supervisor, Professor Wintess, who's a really influential figure in rural studies, he sent her to a village in Shaanxi province. It's 300 miles from Beijing.
Wow, quite a distance.
Yeah, and for extended periods, it sounds like it was a really immersive experience.
That kind of, firsthand sustained exposure can be incredibly eye-opening. What sort of things did she actually see there in those villages?
A real mix, actually.
Yeah.
She saw everything from, deep poverty to surprising pockets of wealth. And she also got a first-hand look at the complexities of local governance, the impact of pollution.
Oh, wow.
And that really heartbreaking issue of, left behind children whose parents are away working in the cities.
It sounds like that experience gave her a really grounded, multifaceted view of rural China, moving way beyond any maybe idealized idea she had before.
Absolutely. And then sort of building on that, in 2008, she got this chance to work on a farm in the U.S. for 6 months. And this wasn't just a visit. It was intensive dawn-to-dusk farm labor.
So she went from studying rural issues to actually living them, breathing them. That's a massive shift in understanding, isn't it?
Huge. It was a massive adjustment for her. She talks about the culture shock, no TV, limited internet.
Right.
And just the sheer physical difficulty of the work.
I can imagine.
She even started questioning her choices, wondering if she'd traded writing policy papers for, weeding and cleaning eggs every day.
That kind of internal questioning is completely understandable, right? It's that moment where you confront your assumptions, maybe reevaluate who you are.
Yeah.
What helped her get through that initial, struggle?
Well, gradually, she started to build this connection with the land itself. She mentioned noticing the worms in the soil, the specific way the light hit the plants, little things. And she had this sort of epiphany, she called it, about finding meaning in the seemingly meaningless.
That's lovely.
She feel like her academic knowledge finally, clicked into place with the tangible reality of farming.
That's a really beautiful way to describe finding purpose in physical work, that connection between, the head knowledge and the hands-on experience.
Yeah.
And this is what inspired her to start her own ecological farm back in China.
Exactly. And she also found more inspiration in a book on sustainable farming in China written by one of her mentors.
Okay.
So she came back with this real determination to apply everything she'd learned and felt.
And it wasn't a small thing, was it? She started with just a few colleagues, a small plot of land.
Right.
But it grew into something much bigger, involving over 1,500 farms across the country. That's a really significant scale.
It truly is. And it was, quite a bold move back then. A key part of her whole system is CSA.
Community-supported agriculture.
Right.
Yeah.
Where consumers basically buy shares of a farm's harvest in advance. It creates this really direct link between the farmers and the community.
That model has some real benefits, doesn't it? It gives farmers upfront cash, consumers get fresh local food, it fosters a kind of partnership.
Definitely. Shared risk, shared reward. And her work didn't stop just there. She started training programs for other people wanting to become new farmers.
Oh, nice. Building capacity.
And even launched a national brand focused on fair trade, getting better profits for the farmers. So her impact really goes beyond her own farm.
It's about building up the whole sector, really, and pushing for a fairer system. That shows a real commitment to, systemic change.
And on a more personal note, she actually found love with her business partner.
Oh.
Yeah, a junior from her university days. Apparently, she was quite impressed by his strength hoisting fertilizer sacks.
Huh. That's brilliant and very fitting.
Right. And they had what she called an organic wedding right there on the farm.
That's lovely. It really shows how her personal and professional lives just completely intertwined in that rural setting.
And she talks about enjoying a much better work-life balance now, living close to her family, feeling part of a real community. She even started a small school on her farm. The focus is on healthy food, nature, and what she calls the 3 goods.
The 3 goods. What are they?
Eating well, sleeping well, and speaking well.
Ah, that's a great holistic approach to education. It highlights how it's all connected, physical, mental, even communication. Reflects her whole philosophy, really.
Yeah, and here's a fun little fact she mentioned.
Go on.
Apparently, there's a bacteria found in soil that actually has antidepressant properties.
No way. Really?
Yeah, so all that time getting your hands dirty might have some unexpected mental health perks.
That's fascinating. And it kind of reinforces the positive effects of, interacting with nature.
Totally.
Yeah.
So Xi'an's story, when you boil it down, it's really about finding a true calling in a place she never expected, building this thriving community, and sort of redefining what rural can mean for a rich, meaningful life.
It certainly challenges a lot of conventional ideas about success, doesn't it? And it shows the potential for transformation personally and societally when people step off the beaten path.
Yeah.
What part of her journey really sticks with you?
For me, I think it's the way she found such deep meaning in what could easily just be seen as routine manual work.
Right.
Going from that abstract world of academic theory to the very real act of farming and finding such satisfaction, it makes you think about the value we sometimes miss in hands-on stuff.
That's a really crucial point. In our often very, intellectualized world, her experience is a great reminder of the wisdom and value that comes from working directly with the land, with nature.
Absolutely. Okay, now let's shift gears to another really compelling story. Darmal, who also goes by Damao, and her 5 friends, they call themselves the F6.
The F6? Okay.
And their mission to create a youth hostel village.
This story taps into a different kind of feeling, I think. That desire to break free from being, just cogs in a machine in a huge city like Beijing.
Yeah.
It's a feeling I reckon a lot of young professionals can probably relate to.
Totally. For Darmal, apparently a big turning point was this major flood in the area where she was working.
Oh, wow.
Her home got submerged, and even just getting basic things like food and water became a real struggle. It really hit home how fragile her city life actually was.
That kind of disruptive event, yeah, it can definitely trigger a major rethink about what really matters in life. Sounds like a real moment of clarity for her.
It was. And it led to what sounds like a pretty spontaneous decision, actually.
Okay.
After visiting this small, kind of neglected village, she and her 5 friends just felt this strong pull, this desire to create a place they could really call home. It must have taken a lot of guts to make that leap.
Oh, for sure. Leaving behind the comforts, the opportunities of a major city for the total uncertainty of rural life. That needs serious courage and probably a clear vision.
So what were their first impressions of this village? Was it idyllic?
She described it as having a really peaceful vibe, definitely.
Well.
But it was also quite run down, lots of abandoned houses, some major infrastructure problems.
Like what?
Well, limited running water was a big one. They actually ended up having to dig their own well.
Wow, really? Digging a well?
Yeah. And even something as simple as garbage collection was apparently quite an adventure.
Huh. Sounds like they were trading, urban convenience for a much more basic, hands-on way of life, which can be challenging, but maybe rewarding too.
Definitely. In different ways. But they were resourceful. They used social media, apparently, to connect with the villagers who are already there.
Smart.
Yeah, to get advice on how to, navigate rural life.
That's a really clever way to bridge that gap, isn't it?
Yeah.
Between the newcomers and the existing residents, using modern tools in a more traditional setting.
And one of the F6 was actually already renovating old houses.
Okay.
Sort of blending traditional styles with modern comforts. So they had this idea from the start, it seems, of breathing new life into the place.
That suggests they weren't just running away from the city, but actively trying to create something new and valuable in the countryside.
Exactly. And that's where this youth hostel village idea came from.
Right.
They wanted to build a community where young people could live freely, connect with nature, and also contribute somehow to the local area.
It's an interesting model, fostering community not just among themselves, but maybe attracting other like-minded people too.
Yeah. They started recruiting volunteers and offering these really immersive rural experiences. Things like, get this, river therapy.
River therapy, okay.
And even outdoor naps.
Outdoor naps, I could get behind that.
Right. It really highlights the appeal of that slower pace, the natural beauty.
Definitely. And they even set up a village credit bank system.
Yeah, where local residents could offer their skills, maybe farming, repairs, whatever, and earn credits for things they needed.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It fosters this sense of mutual support, right? And makes sure the project actually benefits the existing residents too, not just imposed from outside.
Yeah, that's crucial. Have they seen changes in the village?
They have. More shops opening up, more activity, more life. But Dharmal is also really open about the fact that financial sustainability is still a challenge.
Right.
She calls it a labor of love.
That honesty is important. Revitalizing rural areas, it takes real dedication, resources.
Yeah.
Money's often a persistent issue.
But she really stresses the incredible rewards too.
Right.
The amazing people they've met, the new skills they've all learned, and just that deep pride in actually making a positive difference.
Those intangible things, purpose, connection, growth, that's often what keeps people going through the tough times, isn't it?
Absolutely. And they haven't completely cut ties with the city either.
No.
They apparently make monthly trips back to Beijing to enjoy some conveniences.
Ah, okay. So it's about finding a balance, not a total rejection of urban life.
Exactly. That pragmatic approach seems pretty smart. Keeping some connection makes the whole thing more sustainable long-term, perhaps.
Dharmal also mentioned the challenges that just come with building any community,
Sure, disagreements.
Yeah, disagreements inevitably pop up. But she said the natural surroundings often help them reconnect, get perspective again.
The natural world can be a powerful source of calm, can't it? Especially when you're navigating group dynamics in a close community.
Definitely. So ultimately, they've welcomed thousands of visitors, built this really strong sense of community, both within their F6 group and with the villagers.
Their story really shows the power of collective action, doesn't it? And the potential for young people to actively shape and, revitalize rural spaces.
Yeah. What aspect of Dharmal's experience jumps out at you?
I'm really struck by this idea you mentioned earlier about optimizing yourself for a place where you feel needed.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to just fit into that existing city mold, they basically created their own space, their own way of life.
That's a really insightful way to frame it. It's a very proactive, empowering way to find your place in the world.
And the importance of friendship, collaboration, it's so clear.
Oh, yeah.
They took this huge leap together, supporting each other through all those inevitable challenges.
Absolutely. Having that shared vision, that mutual support, it must be essential when you're making such a massive life change. Offers practical help and emotional backup.
Definitely. And there's a real sense of adventure in their story, too, and resilience.
Totally. facing down those basic infrastructure issues, finding creative fixes, just keeping going.
Their willingness to just embrace the unexpected, adapt to the tricky circumstances, that's a key part of their success, I think.
It also kind of makes you rethink assumptions about aging, retirement, maybe.
Oh, so?
Well, they're creating this vibrant, youth-hostile village, sure, but it's also about living with purpose and connection at any stage of life, not just saving it for later.
That's a really profound point. Their project challenges those traditional ideas about life stages, doesn't it? And suggests new ways for different generations to connect and share experiences in rural communities.
Definitely. Okay, let's move on now to a really heartwarming story. Zhang Xinbin and his Grandma's Gift project.
Ah, yes.
This one focuses on helping elderly people in impoverished mountain areas.
Zhang's initiative, it has such a deeply personal starting point, doesn't it?
It really does.
Stemming from his own upbringing in a remote village and the huge role his grandmother played in his life, especially because his parents were working far away.
Exactly. So he saw firsthand the difficulties older people face in those communities. He remembers his grandma's kindness, her cooking, which was a real comfort, especially after his family hit hard times financially when his mother passed away.
That personal history gives him such a powerful motivation. You can feel the empathy, the dedication to this cause. Losing a parent young, facing money troubles, that leaves a mark.
Yeah. He actually ended up leaving school at 16 to work. Had a pretty rough start before eventually finding success in a totally different field, the entertainment industry, as a singer and event planner.
Wow, quite a shift. That journey from hardship to success in entertainment, it really highlights his adaptability, his determination.
For sure.
And it sets the stage for him eventually coming back to his roots, but with a totally new perspective.
Right. But then, when his grandmother passed away, that was the real turning point. He realized he hadn't actually been back home much. And he suddenly saw the struggles, the loneliness that so many elderly people in his village were facing.
That moment of realization, often sparked by personal loss, it can be such a powerful catalyst for action, can't it? Sounds like he felt this deep sense of responsibility to his community.
He did. He initially started a charity called Mountain Watch, which was mostly focused on giving donations.
Okay, standard charity model.
But then a specific experience made him totally rethink that approach.
Oh, what happened?
He was trying to give money to an elderly person, but they actually refused to take it.
Really?
Yeah. He understood then that they valued their dignity, their ability to provide for themselves, more than just a handout.
That's such a crucial insight. It really underlines how important it is to empower people, not just offer charity. Respecting their autonomy is key.
And then he noticed this same elderly person had some produce they hadn't been able to sell. So he bought it from them. And it apparently brought them immense joy.
I bet.
That was the spark for Grandma's Gift. This idea of buying instead of donating. Connecting elderly people with markets for their goods.
That is just a brilliant, sustainable approach. It gives them income, yes, but it also validates their skills, their contributions. It fosters purpose, dignity.
Exactly. And it's not just about the money either. The project provides vital emotional support too. It combats loneliness through regular visits, companionship, even birthday celebrations.
Addressing that social emotional well-being is just as critical as the financial side, isn't it? That holistic view is what makes this initiative so impactful.
They also discovered incredible craftsmanship among the elderly people.
Oh, yeah.
Weaving, sewing, embroidery. It really highlights this valuable cultural heritage that often just goes unnoticed.
Preserving those traditional skills is so important, not just for their economic potential, but for keeping cultural identity alive, passing knowledge down through generations.
And Zhang is really focused on making the whole project sustainable.
How so?
He works with volunteers, he trains local staff, he seeks partnerships with businesses, all to make sure it can keep going long term.
That shows really thoughtful, strategic planning, building a lasting structure, not just relying on short-term donations.
He admits there are challenges working in rural areas, logistics, building trust in the communities.
Sure.
But his deep sense of responsibility just keeps him pushing forward.
Overcoming those practical hurdles, those interpersonal challenges, it really speaks volumes about his commitment, his understanding of the local situation.
And the project's already helped thousands of elderly individuals. with income, yes, but also support and that renewed sense of purpose in their lives.
His work is just such a powerful example of how one person's vision, their dedication, can create massive positive change in a community.
Yeah. What aspect of Zhang's story really grabs you?
It's the way he transformed his own personal loss into such meaningful action for other people. It's a real testament to, human empathy, that desire to give back.
Absolutely. His ability to channel that grief into tangible support for his community is truly inspiring.
And it's about recognizing and valuing the incredible skills and contributions of the elderly, isn't it? Reminding us they have so much to offer.
In a world that's changing so fast, modernizing so quickly, his work really highlights how vital it is to honor and value older generations, their wisdom, their experience, their invaluable assets.
It's also a beautiful example of how social impact and, good business practices can actually intersect, creating a sustainable model that benefits everyone involved.
His focus on empowering the elders through their own skills, rather than just giving aid, that's key to the project's long-term success and the dignity it gives people.
Definitely. And there's that strong element of cultural preservation woven through it all, too, making sure these traditional crafts aren't just lost to time.
That's such an important aspect, safeguarding cultural heritage for the future, while also creating economic opportunities now.
And ultimately, I think it comes down to the power of personal connection. The relationships he's built, they seem to be at the very heart of this project.
Indeed. That human element, the care, the compassion, the relationships, that's what truly makes this initiative so impactful, so meaningful. Okay, let's turn now to our fourth story. This follows Xiaoxu in her journey of self-discovery in the beautiful region of Dali.
Jacques' experience. This one feels familiar for a lot of young people working in those really fast-paced city environments, doesn't it?
Totally.
That feeling of stress, maybe disconnection, just yearning for something more fulfilling.
Exactly. She was working in Shanghai, just felt this really strong need for a break, change of pace. So she decided to travel to Dali in Yunnan province.
Right, Dali, known for its stunning scenery, that relaxed way of life.
Yeah, it's become a really popular spot for people seeking a break from that city intensity. Offers a different rhythm, maybe a closer connection to nature.
She ended up staying there and working.
Yeah, working at a guest house, which was a massive shift from her previous high-pressure job.
That kind of immersive experience in a totally different environment, it can give you such valuable space for introspection, for personal reevaluation.
Right. Initially, though, she felt a bit intimidated by the local people.
Oh, why?
They just seemed so confident, so at ease in their surroundings. Very different from city life, maybe?
That contrast really highlights the different social dynamics, doesn't it? That sense of belonging that can exist maybe more naturally in rural communities versus urban ones.
Yeah. She even shared this funny story about trying to use her, limited English to help a foreign couple. And it just didn't go quite as planned. It was apparently a bit of a humbling moment.
It's a good reminder, isn't it?
Yeah.
Knowing something in theory versus actually applying it in the real world can be very different things.
Totally. But she also had this really memorable and actually quite unusual experience at a local festival.
Oh, yeah?
Where villagers threw pine resin on her and then set it alight as a blessing.
Whoa. Set it alight. That sounds intense.
Right. It certainly shows her willingness to just step way outside her comfort zone, embrace these totally new cultural experiences.
Definitely. She said it felt a bit like being in a circus.
I bet.
But it also somehow helped her feel more connected to herself, like it broke down some of her old inhibitions.
Those kinds of unexpected immersive cultural moments, they can often trigger really significant shifts in perspective and self-awareness.
So during her time in Dali, she started to feel this greater sense of agency, control over her own life.
Exactly. That feeling of empowerment, it's often a key result of stepping away from the familiar routine, taking ownership of your own journey.
And she learned new skills, too.
Yeah, like making coffee. And she discovered abilities she didn't even know she had.
Learning new things in a different context, it can really build confidence, reveal hidden talents, fosters that sense of self-reliance, capability.
She also grew to appreciate the simpler things in life more. And she noticed how content the villagers seemed, even without loads of material possessions.
That observation often prompts a big reevaluation of your own values, your priorities, right? Makes you question that constant chase for material wealth.
Yeah. She contrasted her, fulfilling rural experience with her previous job as a live streamer,
Oh, okay.
selling products online.
Yeah.
Which she came to feel was really superficial, disconnected from any real connection.
That contrast really drives home the difference between maybe a virtual existence and a life that's grounded in tangible experiences, real-world interactions.
She just felt a much stronger connection to nature and to her own inner self in the countryside, found a sense of peace, purpose that she'd been missing in the city.
The natural environment can have such a profound effect on our mental, emotional well-being, offering calm, perspective, renewed energy.
And she's clear that she's still on a journey,
Yeah.
still discovering herself, still growing.
That ongoing process of exploration, of learning, it's such a natural and valuable part of developing as a person. And her time in Dali seems to have really opened up new pathways for that.
So what resonates most with you about Jacques' story?
I think it's that really transformative power of travel, of changing your environment completely.
Yeah?
Stepping outside your everyday life, immersing yourself somewhere new. It can reveal aspects of yourself you just never knew were there.
Absolutely. Removing yourself from familiar surroundings gives you that space, that perspective you need for looking inward, for real personal growth.
And this idea of maybe finding yourself by getting a little bit lost first. She had to step away from that seemingly defined path in Shanghai to discover a new direction entirely in Dali.
Sometimes it really is by venturing into the unknown that we stumble upon our true selves, our most authentic desires.
It's also a good reminder, isn't it, that it's totally okay not to have all the answers figured out.
Oh, for sure.
Sometimes the journey, the exploration itself, is the most important, most rewarding part.
Embracing that uncertainty, giving yourself the freedom to explore different paths, it can lead to really unexpected, incredibly valuable discoveries.
And the importance of authenticity really comes through. She felt like she was trying to fit a certain mold in the city, but in the more relaxed atmosphere of the countryside, she could just be herself.
That freedom to embrace your true self without the weight of all those societal pressures, that's a powerful draw for many people seeking a different way of life.
And just the simple happiness she found, appreciating nature's beauty, the genuine connections in the local community.
It underscores that idea that true contentment often isn't found in material wealth or external praise, but in meaningful experiences in real human connection. Okay, finally, let's dive into our fifth story. This one's about an artist.
Ah, the artist.
Who found both profound inspiration and a much deeper connection to the world through making art in a rural setting.
This story highlights yet another really compelling reason why people are drawn to the countryside, doesn't it? That search for authentic self-expression and a deeper connection to nature through creativity.
Exactly. This particular artist, they felt quite lost, disconnected, living in the city, had this real yearning for a more genuine way to express their inner world.
That feeling of maybe artistic stagnation or being disconnected from your creative source. It's a pretty common experience for artists working in those often demanding urban environments.
They were particularly drawn to just the sheer visual beauty of the countryside. The rolling hills, the vibrant colors, the changing seasons.
The natural world, it's always been such a powerful muse for artists throughout history, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Just an endless source of inspiration, profound beauty.
So they started spending more and more time out in rural areas, sketching, painting, taking photos, really actively engaging with the environment around them.
That active, sustained engagement with the landscape, closely observing its details, its rhythms, it naturally deepens your connection and it profoundly shapes the art itself.
And the artistic process itself became a way to deepen that connection with nature. Art acted as a very real, tangible bridge.
That's a beautiful metaphor and very true. Art can be such a powerful go-between, allowing us to see and connect with the world around us in incredibly profound ways.
They also deliberately built connections with the local communities,
Okay.
sharing their artwork, but also learning from the villagers, which created this really lovely, enriching kind of cross-cultural exchange.
That reciprocal relationship where the artist both gives and receives it enriches their art, sure, but also their understanding of the local culture, the local perspectives.
And the villagers apparently were really supportive and appreciative of their art.
That positive reception can be incredibly encouraging for an artist, right? Fosters a real sense of belonging, contributes to their overall sense of purpose.
The artists also started using their work to raise awareness.
About what?
About important environmental issues and also the various challenges faced by rural communities. So they effectively turned their art into a form of well, meaningful activism.
That's a really powerful way to use your artistic platform, isn't it? To advocate for important causes, connect with audiences on a much deeper level.
Ultimately, they found this real, lasting sense of purpose and deep fulfillment in their rural art practice, which stood in stark contrast to their previous experiences in the city.
Their journey really underlines that idea that finding your true calling often involves aligning your deepest passions with a genuine sense of purpose, contributing to something bigger than just yourself.
So their story is essentially about finding their authentic voice and making a real difference through their creativity by connecting with the land, the people, and their own true self.
It's a compelling illustration of how the rural environment can truly nurture creativity and provide that deep sense of belonging that might be missing in more urban settings. What aspect of this artist's journey resonates most with you?
I think it's just the profound power of art to connect us, not just to nature, but also to each other, and ultimately to our own inner selves. It's a beautiful example of that interconnectedness.
Indeed. Art really does serve as a kind of universal language, doesn't it? Capable of bridging divides, fostering understanding between different cultures, different perspectives.
And it really highlights the incredible beauty and just endless inspiration that can be found in the countryside, if we just take the time to really look.
The natural world is just this inexhaustible source of wonder, of artistic inspiration, constantly reminding us of beauty and our connection to it all.
It also shows the potential for nature to foster not only creativity, but also a real sense of healing, of well-being.
Engaging with nature, it's been shown time and again to have significant benefits for our mental and physical health, fostering calm, renewal, which can definitely fuel creativity.
And it reminds us there are just so many diverse ways to connect with the environment and contribute meaningfully to our communities, whatever our individual skills or passions might be.
Absolutely. Each of these stories, while they're all distinct, they really underscore the diverse and compelling ways people are finding meaning and purpose by forging that connection with the rural world.
So as we kind of bring these 5 incredible stories together, what would you say are some of the key, maybe overarching takeaways that tie them all up?
Well, I think a really prominent theme is just the remarkable courage each of these individuals showed. Stepping away from those more conventional paths and actively creating their own definitions of what success really means. They weren't afraid to embrace uncertainty to find a more authentic, fulfilling life.
Definitely. And that recurring theme of connection is just so powerful. Connection to nature, strong ties within communities, and ultimately that deeper, more authentic connection to their own sense of self.
Right.
That feeling of belonging seems absolutely foundational in all their experiences.
Precisely. That deep yearning for genuine connection in a world that can often feel pretty isolating, it's a very powerful driver for this noticeable shift towards rural living.
And you can't overlook the significant resilience they all showed.
True.
In the face of all sorts of challenges, learning totally new skills, navigating completely unfamiliar environments.
Their adaptability, their sheer determination in overcoming obstacles, it's truly inspiring. And it highlights that inner strength that people find when they're pursuing something they feel deeply purposeful about.
It's important to remember, too, that these 5 stories, they're really just a few examples, right? Of a much broader trend of young people actively contributing to the revitalization of rural China.
Indeed. This isn't just a handful of isolated cases, it really reflects a growing movement. People seeking alternative, maybe more sustainable ways of living and working.
It feels like a genuinely hopeful trend, actually, suggesting a growing awareness of the importance of sustainability, strong community bonds, maybe more balanced, intentionally slower pace of life.
This movement really suggests a kind of reevaluation of societal values, doesn't it? With more importance being placed on environmental consciousness, genuine community well-being, alongside those more traditional measures of success.
And it really challenges some of the negative stereotypes that can sometimes stick to rural life, highlighting the inherent beauty, the diverse opportunities, and the profound, meaningful connections that can be found there.
It really dispels that maybe outdated idea of the countryside as just a place of hardship, and instead reveals it as this dynamic, evolving space, a place for innovation, creativity, and deep human connection.
Well said. These stories, they really offer a lot of food for thought, I think. Whether you, listening, are maybe personally considering a similar move. Or maybe you're simply seeking a more meaningful way of living wherever you happen to be right now.
They provide really valuable insights, don't they, into the fundamental importance of aligning our lives with our deepest values and actively seeking out environments that truly nurture our well-being, our sense of purpose.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we really hope these stories have sparked something in you, perhaps encouraged you to think about your own path and the many diverse ways you can define success for yourself.
May these inspiring journeys encourage you to explore the possibilities that lie beyond the familiar, maybe, and to really consider what truly nourishes your own roots.
Thank you so very much for joining us for this deep dive.
It's been a truly fascinating exploration of these incredibly inspiring journeys.
And please remember, keep exploring and keep finding your roots.